desk, and I want to be centered. There we go. I want to try to be centered. You know what I mean? There we go. I got it. There we go. Perfect. Get a little coffee going.
I don't know how to actually make this thing go away. They're giving me like a little snippet that I don't want or need, but that's okay.
It's basketball time at the Q.
Rubber Rim Job, season 3, episode 1. We're live. You can see us now.
Yeah, here we are. As I mentioned on the board, I wanted to set expectations low and come in high. I consider myself to be a relatively handsome guy. I think I described myself as looking like a combination of what did I say, like Shrek. I can't even remember who the other person was. I was an 8.8 on Hot or Not when I was a kid.
You were at 8.8. I give you a 10. I give you a 10, Jake.
10.
Yeah.
I'm 40 now. Things.
I know I'm a 10. I think that's
absolutely.
I'm bringing the confidence of shirtless J.R. Smith every time I hop on the mic.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll give you a 10.
We're gonna do our studio tours real fast as we kick off this season.
Let's do it.
Season 3 is here. We are live in effect. We're live in your living room. The Cavs are on the precipice of a very transformational season. We're excited about that. But most importantly, let's show off our digs. So
okay.
You go first, Jig. What do you like mid swig? I want to see if I can make you like spit up.
All right, let's do it. I don't have a lot to show off because I'm down in my office, but I'll see what I can do. Let's see.
It almost looks like a drum set back there, kind of thing.
There is. There's a little electronic drum set back here.
Awesome.
My son and I both. Wait, can you hear me?
I can. There you go.
My son and I both like to bang on the drums a little bit. And I got a little Led Zeppelin poster back there. They're my favorite band.
I love it.
Got some collectible German Steins up there.
Of which you said during season 2 that one of them was your pops. So now everybody can actually see what I had to deal with that day.
And that is actually a picture of my. Can we see the picture of my dad down there? Or is that a bad angle? There's a picture of my dad with a couple Marlin down there.
Okay.
I don't think
I don't actually see it on my screen, but
can't see it.
Okay.
It's a kind of a bad angle. You can't really see it.
Yeah. No,
and over here is a collectible printer, a brother printer. We'll move this. Well, that's me.
Absolutely.
What do we got? Not really much going that way. Just the TV.
I like the way you guys laid that out because you got your babies on either side there.
You like that?
That's
they're awesome. A lot older than that now.
That's pretty awesome.
Time flies, man. Oh, wait a second. Can't miss this. I put in this brick accent wall back here.
We talked about that on one of the episodes. Yeah. That's actually very important.
Very proud of that. It's I'll give you a little brief summary of that. That was not my wife's favorite thing.
Okay.
I decided a couple years ago that I wanted to go from not capable of doing any house projects at all to being handy. That was like my there you go. My New Year's resolution.
Right.
Like I didn't know how to do anything really.
Got you.
And then I just said, you know what, this year I'm going to become handy.
I'm gonna roll my sleeves up and I'm gonna fortify this house here.
That's it. So I decided that what I was going to do is I was going to do a brick accent wall down in the basement. I chose probably could have gone with the wall that was like 12 feet across. I went with the one that was about 20 feet.
Go big or go home.
And man, it was a marathon project. It took a long time and a lot of trips to Home Depot.
I love it.
I had to learn a lot of different skills that I didn't know. A lot of caulking.
The wall looks beautiful just now, man. I'm like, if you didn't give us this whole story, like I'd have been like, yo, that was like that when you moved in there. But it looks like it was professionally done.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. So the finished product, very proud of. Looks it looks like the exterior wall of like a foundry or something like that. Which, considering that we live in Western Pennsylvania, is a good fit. I've taken a lot of crap from some of the guys on the board who I'm longtime friends with, but they know this is.
I think it's pretty dope, to be honest.
They know this is good work. So that's kind of the basement. Oh, excuse me, a little bit of mucus there.
Totally.
There's also a leopard print chase lounge over there.
I like that.
I'm not going to say anything about that. I'm just going to let that hang in the air.
Dom Draper sat on that every time he got stressed out. So
looks like something out of, I feel like, Wilt Chamberlain's basement.
Yeah, no, legitimately, I saw that on an episode of Mad Men from like 1972. So I like that a lot.
That's it. That's where it came from. That's my basement. Let's hear about yours.
I'll do a quick snippet tour. And I'm actually, so I can't move my desktop around. Like, they're not going to get that from me. Okay. Plus there's, there's a party upstairs here. So I got a t-shirt and everything like that. But then
I want to hear about the t-shirt and the hat.
There's like boxers down here. So I don't want to give you guys that.
Just tell me about the t-shirt.
All right. So of course, Bob Marley, every little thing is going to be all right. That's happening.
I love it.
Right. And then this right here is actually a brand that I designed for myself. I'm an advocate for music as medicine, and I'm an advocate for emotional and wellness. So Here Wellness is actually a brand that I launched here when I first did my blog. And my blog is all about, finding music commonalities with other people and then processing, things that we've been through and stuff through that music. So like if I share a song with you, like today we're going to mention In Rainbows by Rchfld because it's their 16th anniversary of that album. And I point out one of the songs on there and I tell you like, oh man, when I lost my grandmother or whatever like that, I was listening to this song at that time. Mm-hmm. That's what this whole brand is all about. Mm-hmm. It's about, cause like with my therapist and stuff, we're always, the first thing that we do when we sit down, we're talking like, what's playing on your heart's jukebox right now? Let's get into it and dig from there.
Time.
So anyway, that's what this whole Here Wellness is all about.
I love that.
Back here, we've got the Stevens with the birth year, Stevens 83 custom calves jump off there that is being modeled by Austin Carr in the poster right here. So you can't see it because the sun is shining here in beautiful Nashville, Tennessee. But this handsome guy behind me that was gifted to me by one of my employees. That painted that for me, so I always put that up. And then we've got the starting lineup for the championship team right there. Everybody except for TT. So, and we're going to talk about that during this episode because
yes, we are.
I've long had a love-hate relationship with Tristan Thompson.
I think many of us have.
Okay, now that he's back, I'm looking for that bobblehead that goes where there. So you've got Bron, of course, right here. He was the most expensive one of these bobbleheads because this was really custom. When this was released, it was right after the championship. And it's saying LeBron and Kyrie are the first to score 40 points in the finals kind of thing. This was like $100 bobblehead. And then
big purchase right there.
You got one of my favorites right here, of course. And Mr. What I just referenced a second ago. I wish he didn't have
shirtless.
Yeah. And then you got Kyrie up there in the background there. You can see Iman Shumpert. And
God, I forget Iman Shumpert was on the team.
Iman Shumpert is actually the coolest looking one. Look at this.
He is. Love that hair.
Right?
Love that throwback hair, man.
And then, of course, these guys. I don't know if you can see that or not.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So that was actually, my family created that for me as a gift when I first launched this thing. So all of that is happening back here. There's Goodyear, the Goodyear sign that's down in Akron, Ohio. I saw that every day on my walk to school, like going to Goodyear Middle School and East High. And then it's just stuff all over here that's just like a bunch of junk that you don't care to see. But that's where all the magic happens in these two.
I want to hit you with a couple questions here.
Two basements. What you got?
I know you're a big vinyl guy. What do you got? What do you got on vinyl most recently? Any recent purchases? And if not, tell me what you listened to most recently.
So I literally, before this episode started, I just pulled out my copy of Radiohead in Rainbows.
That's why you mentioned it.
Yeah, but it's a 16-year-old copy because I got it with the first release. Because like if you are you big on Radiohead? Do you like Radiohead?
I'm okay on Radiohead, but I can tell you, Deezus from the board is
Anti or
monstrous on Radiohead.
but I know how you guys work though. Are you actually saying that he hates them? Because you're like you
No. He is a Radiohead super fan. You can be talking about any, and I'm not exaggerating. You can be talking about any band, and he will somehow connect them back to Radiohead.
That's because Tom York and Johnny Greenwood are fucking geniuses.
I get it. I get it, and I totally agree with you. I've never gone down the Radiohead wormhole for whatever reason. I'm sure one day I will. So go on.
There's not many people that are like songwriters and like, I'm like, oh my God, that dude's brilliant. But I was just having this discussion with my 15-year-old Jada, because we were talking about the brilliance of Blur, Albin, the lead singer of Blur. Him and Tom York are up there, like for, and this ain't like some poppy conversation, but anyway, with Radiohead, there's going to be 3 albums that everybody is like, somewhere in the pecking order, one of those albums is their top album. It's either going to be OK Computer, Kid A.
Those are a little more poppy, right? Or more accessible.
For me, I'm not the poppy guy. So I love those albums because they're brilliant. They're awesome. But my number one album has always been In Rainbows because of what it represented. Like for the, so Kid A and OK Computer that was their apex of working with a major record label. Like they had, since 1995, they had released maybe 4 or 5 projects where they're like, all right, like now we're feeling trapped. We came out with Creep. We never want to sing that song. We never want to do that album. OK Computer was like, all right, now we're about to blow this shit up. Kid A was like, you guys are absolutely brilliant. And then they were free agents. They were like, we don't want to do this controlled anymore. We don't want to release music that has to be pop. Mm-hmm. So they literally got together as a band, I think all four, and they locked themselves in almost like on a retreat. And they were just like, hey, everybody's going to contribute here. Like each band member, I think, contributed a song that they wrote like from the ground up. And In Rainbows is a culmination of like just freedom. Like it's like, yo, let me get away from the pool of all this kind of stuff. Like we're finally, like we know what we are, we know what we aren't. Let's just create for ourselves kind of thing. For me, that's what this season can be something like. And I didn't mean to transition off of what you just asked.
You did not really transition. You answered my question. I was looking for a real answer to that question.
Yeah. So my transition is actually, the irony to this season is I feel like basketball is a copycat league, but everything goes in waves, Jig. Like it's like, we had that era where Shaq was like dominant and Shaq was like, oh man. And if you didn't have a Shaq or something similar, like Olajuwon, David Robinson, and Patrick Ewing, you basically were just like, let's just watch let's just go to the games just to wear these colors. And in the end, those dudes are going to be raising the championship. Kind of like if you didn't have Tom Brady or Bill Belichick for the last 6 or 7 years, you're like, oh, whatever, we're just here to watch kind of thing. Right. All right. So you had that Shaq era, then it transitioned over to, that individual dominance of wings like Kobe, LeBron, D Wade, that whole era that Tracy McGrady just missed out on kind of thing. Then the very next era was this limitless shooting / scoring, like Steph Curry, like, oh my God, like I can't believe this dude has 45-foot range. And everybody was trying to incorporate that into their game. Like positionless, get the ball moving, everybody shoot it whenever you touch it kind of thing. The new thing, which I believe we first saw this coming in the 2017 and the 2018 finals. Both moments, because Kevin Durant joined the Warriors, he was able to do this unicorn thing where it's like this 7-foot dude who, is able to impact the game. He was their best defender in both of those series. Wouldn't you agree in those 2 finals?
Absolutely.
Like, Draymond, Iguodala, those dudes were individually themselves. They did everything. But ultimately, KD being able to be the best 2-way player for that team is what tipped the thing in their favor, along with them having just a ridiculously stacked team. If you look back at those 2 game 3s, when he hit those jumpers in LeBron's eye, it was like, oh man, like we really have no answer for if he's going to be doing that. If that 7-footer is going to be doing that to our guy, we don't have an answer for that.
Right.
And so that's where we're on the brink of now. It's these unicorns, right? Like just yesterday, I was watching Wemby versus Chet in their first preseason game. Both of these dudes in the first half had 20 points and 10 rebounds against each other. Like they didn't go head to head the whole time, but they were like, anytime they got trapped, like somebody else, like Zach Collins was guarding Chet Holmgren, and he was beating him up. Like he was trying to beat his ass, but Chet just kept scoring on him and stuff. And Wemby was being guarded by a weird mix of Oklahoma Thunder guys. But it was like, I saw where this thing is going. You know what I'm saying? Like it's about to be an age of unicorns where if you don't have that guy, you're going to be on the sideline just watching. I don't care how individually great your little guard scorer or your even some of these wings like Jason Tatum and those kind of things. I don't care how individually great those guys are going to be. If you don't have that unicorn guy, you're getting ready to be on the sideline watching the bus go by. And so,
do you think so? So this has been a complaint on the board too, that guys are getting irritated and a little bit bored, and I understand it. That this Steph Curry and even Kevin Durant era that came in of guys that just continue to extend their range further and further out. And you look at Trae Young, farther out on that 3-point line, where guys are just dribble it down the floor, ISO, and crank threes. Do you think we're going to solve this problem with these unicorn type guys? Do you think the problem is going to solve itself with these guys who have a little bit more of a versatile game and can kind of play down inside a little bit more, maybe a little bit more of an inside out game?
I think the pendulum has already swung. So I think the Jokic raising that title last year was like, oh, we get it. Like that. Like I don't think we're going to.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, and so the irony to that is, like, I think Bron had the foresight to see this, and he was like, "Let me go get Anthony Davis and let me empower him to be that guy." But there, he underestimated how much bitch Anthony Davis has in him, right? Like he's got so much beta that is tough. Like he's like, please take over.
Health too. He's got health problems.
I think that's all a part of his beta, though. Like
could be whether he wants to be out on the floor.
Yeah,
at all.
Like sometimes he just doesn't even want to play basketball. Last year, I was watching that Western Conference Finals, and Game 4, the best big guy they had was Tristan Thompson. Like there's no reason that should be happening. But anyway, yes, I think that pendulum has already swung away from special Steph Curry's, Trae Young's. Like that's why, ironically, I have such high hope for what we're getting ready to do, because it may not happen this season, and it may just start the ceiling is just now starting to crack, but we really need to unlock this kid, this unicorn that we've got. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not wishful hoping, like hopeful wishing and everything like that. If you look back, I think it was year 3. It might have been at the end of year 2 is when they moved Yusuf Nurkic from Denver, and they made it just Jokic team going into year 3, right? And they just put the ball in his hands. He didn't come in the league like this guy. It took him some time. Like he wasn't like, oh my God, I'm just going to set the world on fire at first. It takes a little bit of time. Same thing goes for the Bosh, Garnett, like all these kids. They don't come in and they're just like out the gate. They don't look a little bit like wobbly giraffes. And so when I got the news a couple of days ago that Jared Allen was going to go down for a little bit of time, I actually was like, oh my God, this is an opportunity. But not the opportunity for Mobley to be like the starting center moving forward. No, we need to put some beef next to him. So like if we do go forward with Damian Jones starting, or if TT or whatever, oh my God, thank you so much. Because last year, every time Allen went down, they switched Mobley over to center. I was like, no, don't do that.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so what I'm reading so far from JB's, feedback on Jared Allen going down, I'm like, oh, I think we've learned. I think we've got this. And there's always going to be some lineup flexibility. We've got the minivan now, and this episode we jumped right in and just started talking like big boy shit, and we haven't even had fun talking about the lineups and the new acquisitions and stuff. So I don't want to get too far ahead, but I'm so excited to see how we continue unlocking this unicorn, because the NBA as a whole, we've got our guy, Jig. Like I was super worried that we were going to get locked in with these two little guards, Sexland, and we were going to have a bunch of big guys who were like TT from, his first time here. Like big guys who can't actually do everything they're supposed to do. So I'm excited. I think we got endless opportunity to be on the forefront as Wemby, as Chet Holmgren, as, these teams convert over to these unicorns who can space up and spread the floor and stuff and be a hub for offense. We've got a guy with a couple of year head start. So let's do it.
So I think so as far as that goes, I know one of the big questions on the board is what is going to happen with Mobley, right? What do we need from him? What are the expectations? What needs to happen with him, right?
Right.
And you mentioned him becoming a hub. I think that is one of the things that needs to happen, right? Obviously, we know that when we talk about unicorns, Jokic is the ultimate unicorn, right? As long as he stays healthy, I think he's probably going to go down as a top 10 player of all time.
Right.
The guy might go down as a top 5 player of all time, right? That's a hard thing to project. I think it's also tough to project exactly which direction Mobley's career is going to go in. And I know this is like that topic that's, tough to say, but it's going to depend on what JBB does with him, right? I don't know. I don't know exactly what he's going to do with him, but I would like to see that mold of using him as a hub. I would like to see when he gets that ball down low, instead of doing the baby deer thing, I'd like to see him get that ball back out when there's not a shot after, one move, and a counter move. If it's not there, now we have 2 3-point shooters added to the team, or maybe 3, depending on, now we've got a point guard that kicked our ass out in Golden State,
Right.
Who has some serious potential, right? So, so we're not going to be relying on Okoro, Mr. Quad City, freezing up and shooting those threes. So we've got some guys that we can seriously rely on for him to kick the ball back out.
Right.
Now, was it one of those situations where he didn't trust his teammates to crank those threes up there? Maybe.
Probably.
Was the game moving too fast for him? Maybe.
Probably.
Were the coaches letting him down? Maybe. I don't know. But the guy's got a situation now where I think he needs to evolve into that hub role. I want to see him getting the ball. I want to see him pushing it back out. I want to see him either resetting back up and reaching up for rebounds,
right,
or I want to see move, counter move, get the ball back up to the basket. In which case, if that is the direction we go, I'm not a huge stat guy, but I think what we're going to see if we do go in that direction, I think what we're going to see from him, we're going to see a more efficient Mobley, right? And I don't think we're going to see a guy who's going to really be extending his range out to the 3-point line, which is one of the things that guys were talking about. Because we're not going to need him to be extending his range out to the 3-point line yet. I think that's something that might come later in his career, but really what we need him to do from a scoring standpoint is we really need him out on the elbows a little bit.
I agree.
I really want to see that be a consistent shot for him.
So I want to.
That's the one I want, and I want to see those hooks and dunks down low really consistently.
Right. Like actually know what you're doing with it before the ball gets there, as opposed to what it looked like in the playoffs. I'm pulling this up right now, and I'm doing a screen share so everybody that's watching can follow along. Because I wanted to pull up Jokic stats. We just mentioned
that progression.
We're not making a parallel from Mobley to Jokic.
No, I get it.
We're saying that Jokic has ushered in the age of the unicorn, And so
Definitely.
what did his first 2 years look like? He only started half the games in his first 2 years. Out of 80
Right.
games that he played, he only started 55 in year one. He only played 21 minutes a game. So they literally protected him. Like 21 minutes a game is like what? And then he played 27 minutes a game in year two. And then they dealt Yusuf Nurkic after that.
Mhm.
In those first 2 years, he averaged 10 and then 16 points. He had 7 rebounds per game and then 9.8 rebounds per game. He had 2.4 assists and then he had 9.8 rebounds. So like it's
Right.
not like if you juxtapose Mobley's year two to Jokic's year two, we're talking about 16.7 points, 4.9 assists, 9.8 rebounds, and 2.3 turnovers per game in
Right.
his year two, right? What are we talking about with Evan Mobley for year two?
Comparable.
And what I didn't mention was that his 3-point, not only was his rate low because he shot 1.1 attempts per game in his rookie year, he had 1.9 attempts per game in his second year. Then he became the full-time starter and he became the hub of the offense.
That is when he
That's
exploded.
when he went up to 3.7 at 40%. But this next year, he went down to 3.4 at 30%. And the difference between those two was, I believe, for year three, he had Paul Millsap starting next to him. For year four, they went back to a guy who couldn't shoot, like a Jeremy Grant, or I can't remember who started next to Jokic. But that percentage went down as a result of a non-shooter being next to him. You get what I'm saying?
Spacing. So let's talk about that a little bit. So when we do player comparisons, and those a lot of the time are a joke just to begin with. And I know we mean it as a joke, right? So we've seen player comparisons with him anywhere from Kevin Garnett to Chris Bosh to Tim Duncan to probably the most realistic comparison, Paul Pierce.
Right.
I would say. No,
Absolutely. Everybody is compared to Paul Pierce.
The reality is when you make a player comparison, right? It's tough because a lot of the time you're comparing across generations and every team's a little bit different. So a guy's role is going to be a little bit different. Everybody's body's different. The way they play, it's always tough. It's going to be different, right? With this guy, right? He's a unicorn because his body's different. The way he plays defense is different. And the team is different. So the way he's going to be used is going to be different, man. Right.
It's definitely not an apples to apples. I didn't mean to jump in. This comparison is not an apples to apples. It's a overarching.
Right.
There's a unicorn that just won a championship because of how he was used and the team around him complimented him.
That's right.
Same thing here. Like
exactly.
Like my biggest fear is Jig, and I just voiced this on the board, and I don't mean us to get away from Mobley, so we'll stay on the Mobley thing.
No, let's stick. Yeah.
I had hope that we would be passing Boston no matter what within the next year or two because they didn't have a guy capable of being that type of unicorn. They had a couple of all-world interchangeable wing guys. Cool.
That's
sexy. Right. If this was 2018, you guys would be great. However, you were missing this, and the only piece that looked like it was possible was a 40-year-old Al Horford. So it was like, it doesn't matter. They got Time Lord Robert Williams, and they're getting ready to age themselves out of the unicorn transition. And they, goddamn it, just got their hands on Kristaps Porzingis. And did you see him in that first game a couple of days ago?
I did not. What happened? Did he light it up, or was he like doing that Bambi thing?
No, he was balling. He looked like the best player on the floor for Boston.
He can.
Drew Holiday was feeding him, and Tatum and Brown were playing off of him, and I was just like, oh my God. Like, my hopes now is that he does not stay healthy, because if he does, with him, what is he, 26, 27, 20, what is the unicorn?
Yeah, he feels like he's been in the league forever.
No, he's just now hitting his prime, and it's just a matter of him staying healthy. But that reset things where I'm like, oh no, like I'm actually worried because I was hoping this didn't happen.
Of course.
So anyway, my comparison of Mobley to Jokic is not a apple to apple. It's basically saying we've got our guy. We've just got to make sure that we have a game plan and things in place to continue unlocking him. Similar to what Denver did. It took year 3 before they were really like, here's the actual guy. He's going to do this. And it took like year 5 or 6 before they put better pieces around him to where you could start seeing what you're seeing now.
we're on a reasonable timeline with him at this point. It's easy to get impatient, but we're definitely on a reasonable timeline with him. I do think this is a year where you want to see a big jump.
I think so too. But I think the jump is going to be not in his like shooting ability or any of that stuff. It's going to be in his play facilitating from the mid post.
Agreed.
So
let's talk. So the Celtics, up until they made these Ainge-like trades,
Jesus.
right? The Celtics were very wing based.
Right.
The Cavs are one of those teams where they were guard heavy, which is always the concern. The concern for years was always, can a team contend when the ball is in the hands of two combo guards?
Right.
And that's why the key had been to unlock Mobley and see what kind of guy Jared Allen was. And that came back to bite him in the playoffs. So first things first, let's talk a little bit about Darius Garland's press conference. He got a little bit spicy.
Okay.
And I just want to give an opinion on that spiciness.
All right, let me find that for you. I wish if you had like did some type of signal, I could have had it pulled up so we could just jump in there.
That's okay. I'm gonna talk about it for a little bit, and I'll let you get to it.
Actually,
I enjoy it when players get tangled up with the reporters, and I'm gonna say why.
Okay.
When reporters ask really good questions, you can get results like Bill Belichick gave recently when he went off on a tangent about long snappers for 20 minutes, and that was Bill Belichick, right? All it takes is right, and he's like the worst. Like he will throw reporters down to the wrestling mat and walk off, right?
Right.
And then I don't know if you saw it, but Russ Westbrook, like the most prickly basketball player in history, some reporter went in there and you'd have thought it was a joke, like just complimented him on like some of the most basic skills. Like she just went in there and was like, Russ, like in this last game, like you were dribbling so beautifully and you were making these spin moves and taking these amazing shots. And he like was looking at her like just gradually, like his face was just like his eyes are widening and his face is like you'd never seen his face. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, it did seem shocking, but at the same time, like I remember watching him come out of college and play for, OKC, and they were actually things like you'd say about the guy,
Right.
Because it's like, wow, this dude's freakishly athletic, and you'd make comments like that at home. And the dude gave her like he thanked her, and then he gave her like a super honest, insightful answer. And I thought to myself, I was like, these guys are human beings.
They are so human. It's not even funny.
And if you ask a reasonable question, and if you compliment him or give him just something reasonable instead of being like a negative, just cynical, lazy weirdo, like you can actually get something insightful and reasonable out of these guys. And I just think it's like kind of disappointing and just weird and unnecessary that these guys don't do that.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you 100%.
Do you agree with me?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. It's like because I listen in the morning, I listen to Scalabrini and Frank Isola. And,
yeah. Oh, Isola, he's tough.
But here's the problem with Isola, though. He gets in his own way because he's so indoctrinated in the 1999 journalism kind of thing.
Right.
Like where it's like, oh no, we're the media.
New York.
You're like, or more currently what's happening in Cleveland is Jason, what's his name? Guy used to be with, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he used to be with the Cavs and he was very insightful.
Right.
Yeah,
but he's
go on.
He left to go do that whole whatever that thing was called, the Atlantic, and then he became so spiteful and stuff. But it's like, man, you were the best reporter we had there, and now you just like get off my lawn for journalism.
Jason
like,
Lloyd.
Jason Lloyd, yeah. It's like, what happened to you? Like, why are you? And I stuck by him for a long time because I was a journalism major, and I was like, wait, no, like my hero was Terry Pluto. I understand,
Pluto.
But he's like, even Pluto, like Pluto has adapted. Like he was in these interview rooms, and he's giving these guys space to be themselves. But let's play this.
Right.
Let's play this thing that you're talking about real quick. This is Darius Garland interacting with our favorite beat writer, Chris Fedor.
Right.
Where do you feel like you stand in the East?
Where you think we stand in the East?
I'm asking you.
I'm asking you.
I'd say third or fourth.
All right, then.
I want to hear it from you.
Third or fourth.
You can't say the same thing.
Why?
Okay. So I just want to make a comment on this.
Oh, man.
How are you going to tell the guy that he can't? So what are you doing? You can't say the same thing. First of all, that's a weird thing to say to a grown man. You can't say the same thing.
Darius Garland was like,
He can say the same thing.
Like,
He can say whatever he wants to say.
I don't know if you realize or not, but I'm on a max contract. Like, I can have you removed from this room right now.
He can, and I don't think he thought anything of that, because that's just a thing that people say to each other. He could say whatever he wants, just like Fedor can say whatever he wants.
Right.
But he could say whatever he wants up there.
You want to hear my favorite part? My favorite part of that interview was at the very end. Garland goes like, "Hi," it's like somebody in the background.
Exactly.
Like, there's another reporter who pops up, and they're probably like, "What's up, D?" Like, and he's like, he turned into the guy that is the heartbeat of the team. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
I like that. I like that because his rookie, I was about to say his freshman year, his rookie and his sophomore year, and even his third year before he became an all-star, you were like, does this guy have it in him? Like, does he even have any, like, like FU kind of thing within him?
Mm-hmm.
But if you notice, the moment Donovan landed last year, he was that in every interview. Like, he was, and he doesn't do it in a way that's like a jackass. He'll correct a reporter, and with a smile, he'll be like, because I think on one of the first interviews, the day where he got introduced and stuff, his mom is there. Like, he corrected somebody, said their mom's name wrong, and and he does it. He's somewhere in between Marshawn Lynch and you know what I'm saying? Like, but it's like,
God, I loved him.
At this point in time, Fedor would have never tried that with Donovan Mitchell. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because he just he shows up in a way that's like, don't F with me, but I respect y'all. I respect y'all got a job to do. Let's do it together, kind of thing.
So, I'm yes, absolutely love it. I love what you just said. So I can't read the guy's mind, right? I don't like trying to read people's minds,
right?
But I think what Garland was doing there was he was basically saying, whatever you tell people we are is what we are in the public,
right?
And I think this dude's a professional athlete. And these guys get as far as they get because they're working their asses off in the gym every day. If this guy's a legitimate baller, right, which we think he is, then that dude's not sitting there thinking he's third or fourth, right? He's got it in his mind that he's the best or he's coming for the best, right?
Right. No, this kid.
How are you there?
This kid is brilliant. Like,
I loved it. So I love that. I also want to say, man, okay. Just I want to jump off this. I don't want to go into this forever. Deion Sanders. Okay. I don't care what you think of Deion Sanders.
Awesome. Right.
I love the way the guy handles interviews. He did this thing. Like in the first interview where first of all, he handles interviews like in a way that makes me want to, I don't even care what the result of the game was.
You want to play
I just want to watch,
right?
Well, that number one. And number two, I want to watch the interviews because he did that thing that Garland just did, but like he's been around for 30 more years type of deal. Right. Same concept, but he was much more direct. And he said, I wish I could remember exactly what he said. But he did that voice where Muhammad Ali used to do something kind of different where he did like the classic reporter voice where he goes, "Oh, well, I don't believe that you're gonna win enough games this year." And man, I was laughing my ass off so hard to it. And then I thought to myself, man, these guys hear the same questions every single day. They know that these guys, not all of them, but some of them are out to get them. And man, he just threw the dude down. And I thought to myself, all right, what's next? You know what he did next? He called on the dudes that were like the local podcasters,
Right.
because he knew that these local podcaster dudes cared about what they're doing. He knew that they weren't out to get him. And he knew that those guys that were local were just going to take him on. They were just going to get him on the show, and they were just going to have a good time with him. And I have the feeling, I don't know, once again, not reading his mind, don't know exactly what happened. I have a feeling that's who Darius Garland was waving to. I just have a feeling.
I agree 100%. I think that's brilliant on your analysis. I'm about to share, to complement what we're talking about, I'm going to share Deion empowering his kicker after the game-winning kick against Arizona State.
Right.
Have you seen that clip?
I probably did. Yeah, I probably did. I like how he handles guys after they blow things even better than he builds people up
after they win. So I'm gonna play this clip for us real quick. So
after the win, I didn't see this actually.
Okay, so
God, I love coaching, man. I love it.
Like my whole system. Give me a second, because my Firefox just now crapped out on me. I'm like, wait, what just happened just now? So essentially what happened was this guy, he came from Jackson State with Deion. He's Alejandro Mata or something like that. He's like,
okay.
I think he might be Mexican or, something like that. But and he came over to Colorado State, and he's always been quiet. He just does his job. He's a kick-ass kicker. And like, you just knew like there was going to be a moment like this where Deion's like, you got to show your swag. It's not just because and he does this with every one of the kids. He doesn't just do it with his son or with, he's like always building these kids up and being like, wear that on your sleeve. Like, don't like shake the haters off kind of thing. So I'm going to play this real quick. You can't see this rubber rim job. Let me show it to you.
Pass it to hold. The kick is up.
Right? That was a game-winning kick, to leave the field. Now watch Deion when he runs up on this kid. Like, do that dance. Do that dance I told you. Do that dance.
See what happens.
This kid, I don't know what the hell he was doing, but Deion got him to break out the little salsa dance kind of thing. I don't know what that was.
Did the kid do it?
It was like the gritty dance or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, well, because Deion sort of invented the gritty. I mean, or at least what the guys are doing now is a takeoff of it.
It was like a gross bastardization of the gritty kind of thing. I love that.
It is kind of a bastardization. I don't know. Listen, like, there's X's and O's guys, and then there's the guys that have that kind of transformational type of leadership approach, right?
Sure.
And there's all kinds of different. I don't want to get there's vocabulary to leadership, but like, I just like his approach, man. I really do. I like what he's doing, but I really like the way.
Are we talking about Garland or who are we?
Deion. I like Deion's coaching approach. I know we're not way off topic, but I really like his leadership approach.
Okay.
But to that connected point, I like the way Garland handled that.
Yeah.
And I hope he continues to do it. But to your point about Donovan and your point about both of these guys, I hope that translates to the way these guys are playing basketball.
Okay, so let's do our thing, because we actually, man, we're killing it. It's like 45 minutes already. I don't think we touched on any of the new acquisitions, but really,
I know.
Let's draw parallels from Deion to JBB. Okay,
let's do that, because that's kind of where we were.
Okay, because by all intents and purposes, Deion is not some mastermind scheme guy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, he's totally a locker room players coach.
Correct.
Who knows how to make his guys believe that they're being put in the perfect position.
That's
he
right.
goes and he scans the country, and he finds the head coach of Kent State, who had this run and gun air raid offense, who was scoring the highest in the country. And Deion's like, come here, come to Colorado with me. I don't care what you are, where you are, come here. Because I know that my team early on, we're not going to have any beef up front. So we're going to have to outscore some people. Come do that with me on national TV. And then he finds his defensive coordinator, retired head football coach, and he's like, hey, come teach my dudes to be dogs, And next year, that old guy is going to hand it off to Warren Sapp, because Warren Sapp is now getting ready to, whatever. So what Deion is doing is he recognizes his weaknesses, He's like, I'm a player's coach. I'm not an X's and O's guy. I need to go get X's and O's guys, and then I need to make sure that my players buy into their methodologies so that they can unleash themselves and be the dogs that they need to be. My prayer, my overarching hope for this season to be a crazy success and continue on this trajectory is what JBB is approaching this season with the mindset of. Okay?
Exactly.
Like I don't like, because there's something to the fact that Garland is starting to let his nuts hang a little bit. JBB makes that possible. You know what I'm saying? By fostering the type of culture that has, you even started seeing Isaac Okoro like actually flash a smile last season. And like, you were like, wait, does he talk? You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's something to a locker room being cultivated the way it is. For the love of God, please get out of your own way and let these X's and O guys do their thing, because we can be awesome. Like Mike Brown is doing that right now, Jig. I was watching Sacramento last night, the night before last.
Man, did they take off. I liked seeing it.
Oh my God.
I like Mike Brown.
Here's the thing. He realized what his weaknesses were after bumping his head a bunch of times. And he saw, like, he went into the Golden State program and he was like, I'm just going to coach defense. I'm going to let the other guys do everything else. As soon as he got his other team, he was like, I'm a stronger X's and O. I'm a stronger coach player. I'm a stronger players coach and guy that can police a locker room than I am an XO guy. Let me go get Jordy to run my offense. And let me go get somebody to run this defense and let me stay above the fray. I hope that is what the next, because JBB is like just a couple years older than me. He's a young guy. Like I'm 40 and I'm like a baby. So I'm going to give him the benefit, even though he's like 7-8 years in or whatever like that, his coaching and stuff. I'm going to give him the benefit of doubt that he can grow in the same way. And empower these guys. You got Greg Buckner, let him run that defense, let him do the scheming and stuff like that, the way that Ty Lue was doing with Mike Lombardi when we were like, please stop letting him run the defense, Yep. And you've got Luke Walton, let him run this offense and stay above the fray and just focus on having your finger on the pulse of what these guys need in order to get their gritty on.
Delegation.
Like, please do that, and we're gonna have a successful season. Like that.
Tell me about how you felt during the Knicks series. I can't remember which assistant coach was. There was a moment where one of the assistants. Remind me of that. Tell me about that.
So they went to halftime of Game 5, and I didn't know you were getting ready to ask this. So please, if I
of course,
this, I believe the question was something about
what change we need to make.
And Caris LeVert, it was obvious that he should have been back. He should have been back in the 6-man position because
correct. They started him.
Yeah, when they started him after Game 2, we won Game 2, and they were like, "Oh my God, let's start Caris because he balled out as a 6-man." Didn't need to happen. Everything was off after that because Donovan and Darius were like making sure this dude was still an active participant and not the 3D guy, which is what he should have
had to cook. I knew that would get you.
Okay, so if you guys don't know, last year we had this whole segment where I literally was snotting on our call because he basically was like, he basically said Caris LeVert told Darius and Donovan, "I'm a cook. Y'all just go." Like I got this.
I'm gonna cook, baby. I'm gonna cook. You guys
waving off. He waved off
Donovan
and Darius Garland. It's like, no, y'all get out of here. That's like having Michael Jordan on the court and being like, no, you, hey, ball head guy, you stand over there.
BJ Armstrong. I'm a cook. It's 2 shots.
Don't do this shit for season 3.
I'm a cook, boys.
We got to keep it together. We're live and on video now. All right. So if you guys don't know the Rubber Rim Job and Real Cast fans, this is what this guy brings to every thread on the board. You're trying to have a serious, substantive conversation, and he's going to find a way. Between you and Lee, y'all going to find a way to have people in tears. Okay, so
come on.
So we're not this season. If I see Karis LeVert wave off one of our star guards talking about let me cook, I'm talking about if he does it one time. I'm flying into
Go on, man.
I'm flying into Cleveland immediately, and I'm gonna Tanya Harding his Nancy Kerrigan. Don't do that to me this season, okay? Now don't do it one time, Karis LeVert. And we're gonna survive this season together as long as you don't wave off Darius, Donovan, or Evan Mobley. Okay. I just want to put that out there early on. I feel like Tristan Thompson is already saying this right now. Like right now, as we speak, my favorite offseason acquisition is Tristan Thompson. And it's not for what he's gonna.
Wow.
I don't even want him to see the court.
Go on.
It has nothing to do with that. But what we were missing last year, I'm over here wiping off tears. What we were missing last year as we got into that playoff series was we had just kicked the adult who actually had the ear of some of these young guys out of the gym. Like, yes, we saw Kevin Love have tantrums and stuff, but he had championship leadership pedigree. So even if he was upset with Colin Sexton and he threw the ball to the other team, to Orlando or whatever that was, and Colin Sexton wasn't even on the court. He actually was passing it to Darius, but he was just like, I'm whatever. But at that point in time, he had reached his wits end with being on the same basketball court with one Colin Sexton, which I understood fully.
Totally.
So when we banished him away and he went to the finals with Miami, we had a vacuum of leadership here. We didn't have one single veteran on the sideline who could say, hey, Darius, you like slow down, calm down, play within yourself. You see what they're doing. We didn't have one guy to say, Jared Allen, stop listening to the coach and play your game. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like this scheme is making you look like Mitchell Robinson's bitch. Do something different. We didn't have one championship veteran on the side who had the balls or the gonads to say, listen here, like don't listen there. And so for all intents and purposes, say what you want about what he did on the court. And I used to say some very bad things because I hated watching Tristan Thompson attempt shots.
No doubt.
The one thing that I always appreciated was he carried himself like I'm the big brother here. Like I'm like, even to Kyrie, he was like his rookie year. He's like, oh, calm down, kid. Like let's calm down. Let's do this. Let's do that. Thank you for rejoining the fray, TT. Like, welcome back.
Okay.
Your sole responsibility is to be the adult with the switch on the sideline. Like stand over there, with your paddle and be prepared to make sure that the balance stays where it needs to be with coaching and the leadership of this team. And I think
he's our James Jones this year is what you're saying.
Yes, he's our James Jones. He's our Juwan. Like, so often with the big three, with the Heatles, people are like, man, like it was going to happen anyway. No, it wasn't. They had James Jones. They had Juwan Howard. They had Mike Miller.
Haslam.
They had Udonis Haslam. They had those four guys who kept LeBron from trying to take over and usurp Eric Spoelstra's power. They had those four guys over there who made things balanced when Wade and LeBron were butting heads with how they wanted to play. Like Bosh was always like, whatever you guys say, I'm gonna do. But Wade and Bron for that first year, I think they were like 13-16 or 13-17 after the first 30 games.
Right. Because
they both were playing in the same position with the same spots on the floor. Mm-hmm. It was Haslam, it was Juwan Howard, it was James Jones, it was Mike Miller who sorted that out with them along with the coaching staff. So we at least are reintroducing an adult to the locker room. I can give you a more recent example. When Boston traded Al Horford away to Oklahoma City, they fell apart. Like they didn't look, and of course, part of it was the Kyrie Irving effect, but there was still a void of leadership. And the only person who stepped in and was like, I'll do this is Marcus Smart, which you kind of didn't want because he's like a little bit crazy.
He's a little bit crazy.
Yeah. So, and he doesn't really have the championship experience like Al Horford. Like he's won like 2 national championships with Florida. And then he has that cachet about him. So they brought him back into the program and it was like it almost seems like the adult came back. All of a sudden, they're headed to the finals when it looked like their trajectory was headed to Splitsville. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of effect Tristan Thompson can have from a leadership standpoint. I
Okay.
don't care, call him a Kardashian, talk about his baby moms. I don't care. When he's
athletes have had those kind of weird off the court situations since the history of sports. That kind of stuff.
It doesn't affect the brotherhood.
Those are just that's a joke. If you want to evaluate guys based on that, then
one of the main things, I often reference the game I went to down in Memphis where Tristan got himself thrown out and Andre Patterson had to go and talk to him in the tunnel and stuff. The whole team fell apart when that happened because they're just the leadership on the floor was gone. And so the leadership on the sideline for that game was oh shit, I always mix this up. It wasn't Channing Frye. It was that big guy that we had that we traded, John Henson. We had John Henson on the sideline that was keeping everybody in line. He was communicating with JBB, who was sitting next to Beeline, all of that. Mm-hmm. That's the role I want Tristan playing. I want Tristan to be looked at like we just acquired John Henson. Just bridge the gap between coaching and making sure the leadership is all, lined up. Donovan, Darius, Evan Mobley, keep those guys in line. And also the young guys. So like if Karis LeVert does that whole wave off thing, I'm going to be on the phone with Tristan, like take his knees out, like immediately. I don't care what city you're in. Do me a solid real quick. So
can I tell you a pickup I'm excited about?
Who you got?
A little under the radar. Ty Jerome.
I love Ty Jerome.
Yeah, me too. I don't know how much playing time he's going to get.
Can we give Damage credit real quick? Because I love college basketball, so I've always known of Ty Jerome, but I wasn't looking at Ty Jerome like I would like to see Ty Jerome here. I was like, man, he's slow. He's not super athletic. At the next level, he's going to be something like Grievous Vasquez from Maryland.
I remember Grievous.
But Damage actually, in a conversation him and I had about the trade deadline before we traded for Karis LeVert, he was like, bro, look up Ty Jerome. Trust me, he would be perfect as a compliment. At the time, it was a compliment for Darius and Colin Sexton. He was like, in some capacity, he would be a great third guard because he's 6'5", 6'6". He can defend. He's a smart defender, and he's going to hit open shots. He can guard 1 through 3. I was like, Damage, I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to go look this kid up again. And since that day, I've been like, I want to see him in Cleveland. So go ahead.
You think he can get 10 minutes a game?
My hope is that he literally takes Ricky Rubio's spot and minutes.
That would be about 25 minutes a game.
Well, my hope is that I still don't trust Karis LeVert as that third guard.
Neto was only getting 10.
I'm glad that we're done with the Neto experiment. I don't want to start this season off and be like negative Nancy about any of the players on the team. I'm excited.
Of course.
I think that even with Jared Allen's injury, I think that's an opportunity for growth for Evan Mobley, and it's an opportunity for growth for Bickerstaff. I'm excited about people like Ty Jerome, and then in the long term, what's our kid's name? The one everybody's I'm drawing a blank. I can see his face.
Which
Imani Bates. Imani Bates.
Is Imani Bates getting minutes? Is he up with the team?
No, but in the long term, by season end, if he can find some minutes where he's able to space with just his jumper and Craig Porter at some point in time, those are the type of guards.
I'd love to see Porter.
Those are the type of guards that I want those LeVert minutes to go to if we're able to use that to shop that at some point in time. If not this trade deadline, next season, you know what I'm saying? Like, but I want everybody to enjoy what we're looking at. I don't want to start spitting any, sky is falling kind of thing. Because if we open that can of things, we're going to have a deeper conversation where I'm going to tell you eventually I would like Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen, and Karis LeVert to be in other people's colors so that Darius Garland and Evan Mobley and the right complement around them are building this team. But we're going to do that some other time. Because if I start that conversation right now and I'm talking about 2025,
another episode.
Yeah, this whole season to get away from me. So
that's another episode. That's a wormhole.
Then we drop that and then just walk away. Like
The Donovan conversation, I think, is another word. The future of Donovan Mitchell is another episode.
so you're excited
But
about
it's a conversation that needs to be had.
Man, let me tell you what. So next summer, if everything plays out the way it's supposed to this year, we'll have that conversation. I do wonder and worry if Jared Allen is going to be there long term, and Karis LeVert. So we'll talk about that another time. You're excited about Ty Jerome. I'm excited about Tristan Thompson for locker room. On the court, I'm actually excited about, in some capacity, seeing Minivan, George Niang.
I like what he does for the team.
He's got just enough. He's like a poor man's Draymond Green in regard to, not defensively, but he's got like a little moxie to him that's like, while he was at Iowa State, he did whatever he had to do to help that team win. His guard was Monty Morris, the point guard for Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And they, by all intents and purposes, they shouldn't have been as good as they were in the Big 12 because there were some stacked teams that they went against: Baylor, Kansas, Texas, all those kind of things. But Niang did whatever he had to do on both sides of the ball to contribute to winning. And by that point in time, he already had like torn up knees and stuff like that. So the fact that he's reinvented himself in the pros as this spot up 3 and
that's the guy you want.
That's the guy that you want to be able to plug in.
The guy you want. You want a guy, and he's got a little edge. I like what he was talking about in that. He's saying, he felt cast off. He rebuilt himself. He's back. You want guys like that. Guys that have been successful their entire careers,
right? And they find ways to impact winning.
Really never had challenges at all. I mean, those guys can definitely be successful, right? But you need at least a couple guys who have had that, who want it, guys who want it, guys who have had that, who are going to get after it just because they've been doubted, because they've been cast off somewhere, because somebody made them feel like they weren't going to make it. You need a couple of those guys.
That's like what Cleveland is all about, right? Like one of the reasons why one of my favorite players from back in the day is Craig Elo is because of that. Lenny Wilkins was a master of finding a role. He like finding a way to use a tool, like Lenny Wilkins was a great coach. When he got his hands on eggs, he knew, like this dude is an interchangeable defender, similar to what Ron Harper was. He just doesn't have the on-ball shit. So let me find ways. Like, and Craig Elo, Jordan will admit, Elo made him work, like he was more fearful eventually of the pit bull that was Bobby Fields. But, everybody remembers that shot. Elo made him work.
He did make him work.
He didn't dominate Craig Elo. And we had multiple defenders. Like there was never a game where it was Elo versus Jordan. It would be Elo, Gerald Wilkins,
right.
Larry Nance would be switched over onto him. Like we kept fresh bodies coming at him.
Right.
But for me, that's the only worry I have when it comes to JBB's rotations and stuff. Because both of these guys we just acquired, both Max Strus and Niang.
Strus, we didn't hit Strus.
Yeah, we didn't hit Strus yet. We didn't nibble on that Danish. Both of these guys.
I think that same thing whenever I hear his name.
Why
Strudel.
I think of Strudel.
Strudel. It sounds like Strudel. Strus sounds like Strudel.
So sorry, Max. You definitely just got coined the Strudel. Like that's pretty much what we're going to do.
Strusel. There's another one called Strusel. That's another food too.
Is Strusel delicious? Like I got to look it up.
Strusel is delicious.
Okay. So we got the Strusel. We got the minivan and we got the Strusel that we just now acquired. But both of these guys got played off the floor in matchups last year.
They did.
Niang, he couldn't even see the floor in that Boston series. He was relegated to like tripping guys, Jaylen Brown and stuff on the side.
He did. He grabbed his ankle.
Yeah, but part of that was there was with him on the floor at the same time as Embiid. They could just pick and roll them to death. You know what I'm saying? And those guys weren't covering and recovering the way that they should. That won't happen here with Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, and like these versatile defenders who can move on the perimeter. Right. But there is some concern that both Strus and Niang have been picked on in series, like once it comes down to it. So I'm that'll have to bear itself out this season and how
Mhm.
we, defend things.
You need to see all these guys together for sure. There's
Yeah.
going to be a lot to play around with here. That's what happens whenever you bring a lot of guys in, especially if you bring shooters in.
I do want to say this because I projected something on the board and I want to explain it a little bit. I actually said we were going to go back to 45 and 37 or so. Because there's a lot of projections. People are like, oh, we got to win 50 games. We got to do this. We got to do that. I think a successful season would actually be a regression in overall record. And let me explain. Things that are happening with Jared Allen, like right now, where we don't need to coach to win games 1 through 20. You get what I'm saying? Like,
I do.
What Tom Thibodeau did was he had his team peaking at the perfect time. He used Henry Sims and all these other kind of guys to maintain his assignments. So like he didn't ask Randall to play center, or he didn't ask whoever. He didn't say, "Oh my God, one person went down. Now we got to make everybody play a different position." He was like, I'm willing to seed some of these early season games. And the same thing happened in Sacramento with Mike Brown. Once they defined a role for a player, they kept that player in that role. And so what you're going to have with that is you'll lose some games because instead of having Jared Allen start, you're going to have Damian Jones. And instead of having Donovan Mitchell start, you might plug in a Levert or, I want Levert to stay in that 6-man role. I never want that 6-man role to be compromised. And if that's going to be his role this season, do not move him into the starting lineup.
He cannot be in the starting lineup with the other two guards.
So you might.
Whenever I saw that in that game 5, I knew what was coming.
I'd be willing to go grab Isaac Okoro and say start in Donovan Mitchell's place, even though he brings an entirely different skill set. Or I would be willing to go and say, hey, Ty Jerome, start in Donovan Mitchell's place.
I would prefer Ty Jerome over Okoro, but yeah.
I just saw your eyes like, oh, please don't do that to us.
I did. I just looked at myself after you said that.
Jake, I haven't given up on Isaac Okoro yet. I love me some quads. Quad City. We don't have to shut this thing down yet.
No?
I don't know. Like I saw in one of the videos.
I give up on players more quickly than other people do. I definitely think so.
You know why? I'm watching.
I'm glad.
I was watching the Steelers on Sunday beat the Ravens, and I thought Larry Ogunjobi just dominated the game against us. He dominated that game against the Ravens too, and so he was a game-changing defensive lineman. But we gave up on him a little too early. I think we banished him away when. Both in Kansas City, where he got his ring, and now in Pittsburgh, he's dominant. You know what I'm saying? Like he's creating turnovers left and right. And so for me,
such a good franchise.
We have this kid, and it
drives me crazy.
Yeah, God damn it! Now you about to make me mad. I have to admit this really quickly because me and my dad we talk about this every single day. Man, we respect the hell out of Mike Tomlin. Like
me too.
You can say what you want about the dudes that are wearing the black and gold,
and
the fans, how they all, inbreed and everything like that. Mike Tomlin is a guy I was just watching a video right before we started, and he walked up to John Harbaugh, and he, like treating him like a best friend because they basically took over their teams at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like that dude is just a good coach, man. He's like in the same vein as Deion Sanders. He knows how to turn whatever into whatever. So anyway.
Okay, I got a few things to say about the Steelers. I have to say a few.
God damn it.
I'm out here. I'm in the area. I'm on the streets, man. I'm in the streets.
You're in these Pittsburgh streets? Go ahead, and I swear to God, for anybody who's listening who's like, why did this just happen? I apologize ahead of time.
I'm in the streets. So, in the hills, really.
Hillbillies.
First of all, that dude does more with less every year.
Oh my God.
Than any coach in the NFL. It blows my mind.
It
drives me crazy.
And it pisses me off at the same time.
So whenever people do this thing where they count the Steelers out, I just sit here and I shake my head. I'm like, no, they're at minimum gonna go 8-8. Well, now it's 9-8. I'm saying you guys count these guys out. It's not going to happen.
Don't do
It's
it.
not going to happen.
But here's
They're going to make the playoffs.
Jig, it's not the players. It is literally a great coach. Like if you had any question about whether or not coaching actually makes a difference, look at this guy.
It makes a huge difference. So it's actually a couple things too. It's a couple things. The organization is extremely well run. They have a great front office. They draft the players for him and the setup. Now, they do hate their offensive coordinator out here though. But I will say this too. I got to say another thing about it. These guys every once in a while will want to get rid of him.
Right.
And I'll say,
please.
You guys don't know how good you have it.
Please. I'm talking about the day that he gets released, the day that he's set free.
I will pick him up and drive him out to Cleveland and put him in front of Jimmy Haslam and say, if you do not hire this man.
This is your coach immediately. And every other coach here who's not on board with that, I will take them with me. And I'll take them back to Nashville. That goes for Mike Tomlin, and it also covers Mike Vrabel here in Nashville. In both situations, I would replace our head coach the moment that coach became available. But go ahead.
Right. No. So there's that aspect too. I also want to say these couple of things. And these things might not be super popular. I don't know. I think everybody was so in shock when the Chubb injury happened that they might not have noticed this.
Okay.
But the Steelers fans were cheering Nick Chubb as he went off the field.
They were.
And that is not necessarily atypical of Steelers fans. Because I will say that I hear it all the time. They love Nick Chubb out here. They love him. Everybody loves Nick Chubb around the league.
In the whole wide world. If you show me a person who does not like Nick Chubb, I'm showing you a person who doesn't love life.
So there's that. Last thing. This is the last thing. Because I don't want to pimp these guys too much. The Browns have been so bad for so long that they're like the little brother that the big brother can beat the shit out of.
Just
every
get out of here.
Big brother
is
friendly with the little brother when they can kick their ass.
Sure.
Because they don't want to mess things up. Right? So they're all nice to us. They're nice to the Browns fans out here. Because what do they care? There's no bad blood. Until the Browns can kick the Steelers' ass, they're going to be cheering them when their guys go off the field.
I agree.
And they're going to be nice to me, and they're going to be nice to Browns fans that are out here.
I want to say this really quick.
Go ahead. That's all I got to say.
So two things. Number one, that wild card playoff game when Stefanski was stuck in a basement and AVP was calling plays and Pfeiffer, whatever his name was a head coach, acting head coach.
Right.
We made them cry. And so,
yes,
I was hoping
they were literally crying on the sideline.
Dude, I was hoping that was going to be this watershed moment where the everything changed. Then the very next year, we had this predictable Stefanski play calling thing again, where he actually left Baker Mayfield on an island to die. I think he dialed up
that was it. That was the end of Baker Mayfield.
65 or 70 pass plays. I think there was 8 sacks. I was like, what is Kevin Stefanski doing? He just did the same thing to DTR against Baltimore, where it was like, what did you just craft a play thing for? But anyway, and then secondly, I want to say this as a counter to the Steelers thing.
Go on.
If you were in that stadium and you saw the replay that showed as Nick Chubb was engaged with that defensive lineman, the way that what the fuck is his name?
Minka Fitzpatrick.
Oh my God. So them chatting Nick Chubb, they should have been putting Minka Fitzpatrick on the gallows. I know they're not going to do that with their own player, but I promise you, if a Browns player did that, like just yesterday or the day before yesterday, Travis Kelce did the same thing, going for a dude's knees on a low block. And I was like, I swear to God, he needed to be fined, a penalty, everything like that.
Right.
So I appreciate that they showed Nick Chubb some love, but that replay, when they showed it here online, I was like, oh my God, there's no question that he saw that he was going after a defenseless guy's knee.
Right.
And so that was just a bitch ass move, but don't get me emotionally charged about that.
I hear you.
It's the thing that helps me balance out my hatred for Pittsburgh and my love for Mike Tomlin as a leader.
I am also a lover of great leaders as well. You get me talking about Greg Popovich. I could go on for about 3 hours straight, and obviously Deion's my new guy as well. But
so let's make sure that we keep this, like, we got 15 minutes before.
Well, no. I'm not going to get into Pop today because I think it's time to move on. I'm just saying I could also get into leadership is a very important thing to me. I love it. But
total record time, we got about 15 minutes, and then we're gonna have a hard stop.
Okay.
Was there anything?
I don't know if I have anything else to say unless you got something.
So we touched on the new additions. We touched on Strusel.
The Strus. Yeah, Strusel.
We touched on the delicious pastry that is Max Strus. We touched on the minivan.
I'm going to be holding this thing like a rock star the rest of the week.
Go on. You're really struggling over there. We touched on minivan. We touched on Imani Bates very briefly. We'll save him for another episode.
Mm-hmm.
I did my doom and gloom of why I want the record to not necessarily improve.
I get it. I'm with you.
And then I also cast a very pensively optimistic reel of support for JBB to show growth this year.
Right.
I think this season, we're picking up right where we left off. What do you want to, was there anything on the board that I might have missed that I want to make sure that we touch on as we kick this season off? Oh, really important. And I don't want to speak out too prematurely. Along with this new video setup, we're going to have some new contributors. And we got commitments from some really heavy hitters,
big time,
in the RCF community that we're really grateful for. I look forward to incorporating, their contributions and stuff for season 3. And we're going to get back to making sure that we include these calls and shit. So we got to, now that we'll be able to produce these and push them out more regularly, we're going to start doing these call to actions a little bit more consistently so we can get some calls and stuff.
I'm looking forward to it. We'll get you guys in on a little bit on that cadence you're looking for, because we love that you guys are asking for regular episodes, and we're going to definitely bring that to you.
I've heard. I actually got called into the principal's office this summer. Jig was like, "Look, dude, you're killing us with this post production. That's slowing these episodes down."
I'd never do that to you. I know we're both busy guys. I get it. I'd never do that to you.
And so the ultimate shift in format.
It's mostly Nate Dak that does that.
Oh man, Nate Dak has been eating me up, man. Like he literally. And so we've actually talked on the phone a couple of times, and he cussed me out.
But he's definitely not the only one.
He cussed me out on a phone call too. I was like,
"Oh, feels good. We're glad."
I was like, "Oh man, it's all good. Like people really want us to come out with these episodes." I answered the phone. He's like, "Hey, what's up? This Nate Dak. Before we get started on this personal call,
it's exactly.
I need you to know, if you don't start cranking these episodes out consistently and more frequently, I'm gonna beat your ass." And I was like, "My bad, Nate. I got
you." He's the one that's hardest about it, but he's absolutely not the only one that asks. We get asked pretty consistently from a lot of you, and I love it.
So this video format is what's going to make that happen. We're going to publish this an hour after we record it. So this will be out before the Cavs take on the Atlanta Hawks tonight in our preseason kickoff. Just for fun. And I don't know if it's the haircut. Do you want to show everybody like this? A nice haircut.
Oh, I got my haircut just for the show, actually. Before the show, it was down to my shoulders.
It actually looks like you got like a Freddie Mercury mustache going on right now. I don't know if it's the way the microphone.
It's the shadow. It's the shadow.
I mean, if you want to give us your own rendition of Bohemian Rhapsody, that's okay. We'll
Whenever I was in college, I used to do I Believe in a Thing Called Love by The Darkness. You know the one?
I thought you were about to say by Queen. What? Yes.
No.
Yes, know The Darkness. I Believe in a Thing Called Love.
You guys can look it up. There's a band called The Darkness. It's all falsetto.
Just listen to the rhythm of the heart.
That's the one.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the one. I used to perform that one. We would go to bars that were doing karaoke contests for money, and then I would use the money to buy all my friends drinks. That was the bit.
I'm sorry. I totally I disrespected you. Dude, have you ever seen the movie The Breakup with Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Aniston?
Oh yeah. Come
with
the kick drum. Come with the kick drum.
Come with the kick drum. Come. That is 100% what I just now heard when you said that. Like, I saw it like
You
immediately.
were
Like,
thinking of me as the
oh my God, Jig was a Tone Ranger. And come with the kick drum.
come with the kick drum. Yeah. Probably a little bit more of like a Robert Plant impression, which I guess is sort of close. I'll take it. I'll take the Tone Rangers.
I was like, I'm not going to cry this time. And I've cried like 3 times in this episode.
No, that's the goal, man. I get on these and my whole goal is to try to get tears, man.
So the only thing that we're going to do to make sure this episode gets published pretty consistently is I cannot not put Joe Tate on the bumpers. Yeah, I swear by Joe Tate.
Have to.
Got to have Tate open and close the show. So other than that, these guys are going to be cranking these episodes out as much as he can tolerate getting on a call with me and having me talk over him. Rubber rim job. We're going to make sure at the very least we're doing this on a weekly engagement.
Wait, one last thing.
Yes, sir.
Can I pop something in here?
Please do.
Vinyl. I got three records myself.
Congratulations. Welcome to for real. Welcome to the club. Like, I'm actually excited about this.
Well, I have a bunch of it, but I just got 3.
Okay. What do you got?
I just got 3 myself. And I wanna pimp a couple of these because they're all great. Well, first of all, I told you about Uptown Saturday Night. You knew I got that.
Okay.
I can't tell enough people about cheat codes because I feel like I mentioned this to people and they haven't listened to it. DJ Danger Mouse and Black Thought. It's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Got to listen to it. Got to get it on vinyl. Third one.
I'm looking at it right now.
Are you? Trick of the Tail. Genesis. It was the first album where Phil Collins was the lead singer after Peter Gabriel left the band.
Say it one more time.
Trick of the Tail.
Trick of the Tail was the first album with Phil Collins as a lead singer of Genesis.
After Peter Gabriel had left.
That's awesome.
And it is a fantastic album, little experimental, softer feel to it. Kind of guitar, little bit of a synth heavy feel. But it is a fantastic album. Doesn't sound like the Genesis you might be thinking of, kind of poppy. Sure. It's much more of a, like I said, that's the best way to describe it. I'd recommend all 3 of those albums to everybody.
Can I piggyback off that really quickly?
Please do.
If Peter Gabriel never left Genesis, we would never have had one of my favorite songs of all time.
Which one?
One of my top 5 movies is the movie Vanilla Sky. Tom Cruise. And
it's a great movie.
Cameron Diaz. It's so deep. It's like a mind bender.
I know the one you're going to mention.
Okay. And there's a song on there by Peter Gabriel called Salisbury Hill.
Great song.
I'm talking about, like, we're going to close this episode out with Salisbury Hill. It's just like a beautiful song. And
doesn't it brings a tear to your eye? Very emotional.
Every single time, dude. Like,
me too.
It's, Imagine by John Lennon, Salisbury Hill by Peter Gabriel. There's certain songs that just, Hotel California by the Eagles, like those songs are like crazy. But yeah, Peter Gabriel, if he'd never left, he would have never created that track. And that is one of my top 10 songs of all time.
Beautiful song.
Love it. But In Rainbows, to wrap this up, that's like the theme song for the season for me, because this is the age of the unicorn. Okay. So if you get a chance, my favorite song off of In Rainbows, the Radiohead, and I don't know what Deez is going to pick, is Weird Fish's Arpeggio. That's my favorite song. And they do this.
He sent that to me and tried to get me to listen to it.
Dude,
I didn't listen to it.
Trust me.
I will check it out.
That song, they do this arpeggiated thing. Every member of the band plays their instrument at a different tempo, but it all comes together. And it's like, oh my God, like I see color when it happens. Like,
got it.
Trust me on that. But my second favorite song on that is the last song on the album. It's called Jigsaw's Falling Into Place. So those 2 tracks are, I'm going to jump on your Genesis album as soon as we end here.
Okay. Then if you're going to do that, then I will jump on yours as well.
Okay. I got you, brother.
That's the deal.
All right. Season 3 is off and running. Looking forward to incorporating some special guests, incorporating more of our callers, pulling them in on these video calls.
Yes.
And, I'll try to get my haircut next time so I can out handsome Jig. I
There you
don't
go.
know if it's possible because I'm telling you, you're a 10, and I'm just barely.
We had you at a 10. I got me at that base of an 8.8, and then we take those like 13 years added on, and
What was the wrestling tag team? Sebastian would know this. Was it the fabulous Rchfld brothers, where they would just get in the ring and they would
that's a
tell each
deep
other?
cut.
They would get in the ring and they would tell each other how handsome each other. Like, no, you're beautiful. No, you're beautiful. No, you're handsome. No,
I don't know this one. I like it though. Let's keep rolling with
I
this.
think it was Rick Martel and the guy who played the Mountie. And
Let's keep this going.
They would just get in the ring and just look at each other like how
Compliment each
beautiful they
other
were.
on their
Oh my
handsomeness.
God,
I like this bit.
Like, you look so good. Let me just go ahead and comb my hair back, kind of thing. So,
Let's keep it moving. I like that.
right. So your prediction is going to close the episode. Hawks versus Cavs tonight. Who you got?
Hawks versus Cavs preseason game.
Game
Are we
one.
healthy?
Everybody except for the big fro is on the floor.
Oh, I think we're gonna roll with a 106-102 win tonight.
106-102. From this guy's mouth to basketball god's ears. Let's do this. Season of In Rainbow Unicorn kickoff thing is underway. We got to come up with a name over the course of the season. I don't know what we're going to call it, but it's underway. It's starting tonight. So let's do it.
I like it.
Rubber Rim Job signing off. Season 3.
Signing off. Two handsome fellas.
This is Joe Tate.
That was fun.
Have a good night, everybody.
That was good.
How
How long did we do?